Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to round 3, kicking off this week at Suzuka Silver Class TCR's Trinity Competitive Racing. Season 10, the anniversary season. But again, we're here at the Suzuka International Racing Course. We have 18 fast sweeping the drivers are just out on their out laps, starting their flying laps as we're on board with Pazosaurus Rex. But the circuit is 5.807 kilometers, 3.609 miles. I am 007 Skywalker. I'm joined here in the commentary box by none other than End of the World 93. He did preseason testing with myself, with me, and I'm super glad to have him join me. End of the World, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. I'm excited to be here. It has been a few weeks since I'm in the commentary booth, but have to be back. Great circuit, looking forward to some exciting racing. First off, we've got qualifying, which I think is exceptionally hard around this track. Super technical, super high speed. So it's going to be an interesting session for sure.
Yeah, it's a narrow track. It's actually one of the more narrow tracks on the calendar compared to, we were at China last week and Bahrain 2 weeks ago. So this track is quite narrow for the drivers. It's very fast. The drivers are really going to have to be on their A game and not make any mistakes. There's really not a lot of runoff area. If you do run off, well, you're in the grass, you're in the gravel, or you're in the wall. So these drivers are really going to have to kind of fine-tune their driving, their precision, and really put in the laps of their life to qualify here in the top 10 tonight. We're on board with Rex. He's coming up to the last chicane, turn 16 and 17, and then just a slight right-hand kink into turn 18, onto the start-finish straight, opens up the DRS, and he puts in a lap of a 1:27.896, puts him on provisional pole with one. Actually, Rex just gets pushed down to P2. Fire Up Flow goes P1 with a 27.8. Is exactly the same time as well, a 0.896. Fancy that. But the times keep on coming. Lazo with the 27.7. So as these drivers put in their first laps, the track is getting more rubbered in. So I think we'll expect the times to drop as the session goes on.
Yeah, I think there's quite a bit of track evolution yet to come. I've seen exactly the same times in a couple of sessions in TCR this season, in all of the classes, and I think it's great. I think it shows how evenly matched the whole field is. To have that happen, week after week, it shows that a lot of these guys are consistent in their pace, and they're well matched. So it speaks a lot to all the work the stewards did and all of the TCR officials, making sure everyone is in the class that they should be in, and that we get lots of exciting competitive racing.
Yeah, absolutely. Just on board with Taffer, who puts in a lap of a 1:30.296 P12. Most of the field has actually put in their first lap, and I believe Turkey Whacker is just getting set up to start his flyer. I believe just warm up those tires, coming into the Degners here. But a few drivers on the medium tire. Again, this track, we have a 50% race distance tonight, which equals 27 laps. The strategy that I think most drivers will go for would probably be a soft to medium strategy, although if you qualify outside the top 10, we still think maybe a medium to soft strategy, doing that alternate strategy, or even still the soft to medium, and those soft tires will last just a bit longer than those who qualify within the top 10. But we have Bamboo, who's on now provisional pole with a 1:27.297. He is 5/10 up on his competitors, including Lazo, Fire Up Flow, who had a really good P5 finish last week in China, and then his main competitor, Pazosaurus Rex. D-Swish, his other competitor for the championship at this point in time, is down in P6. Just coming on with him right now. He seems to be on a flying lap, coming around the Spoon Curve, which the Spoon Curve is one of the spots that we have those track limits. So you can run on the red and white curves, but you cannot run past that. Another spot that we're going to be watching out for tonight, we're coming up to on the final chicane, which is turn 16 and turn 17 with heavy braking. And you want to keep at least one tire, which he does beautifully, on the track. And as he comes in, we think everybody is just putting on their second set of tires to go. But
so just to mention, D-Swish in P6 set his time of the 27.9 on medium tires, is what I'm seeing. So that's a very competitive time. I think he could be one to look out for. It'll be interesting. I imagine he'll go out again. It's awful early to set that time on the medium with track evolution. It's going to get quick on the medium. So I think he could be one. He's one of my early picks to watch for the race of D-Swish.
Ooh, just on board with YB and Steven. He was going through the first sector, those S's, and just lost it. I think it was turn 4, turn 5. I think it was the exit of turn 4. Just didn't have the grip and maybe pushing just a bit too hard. But those soft tires are going to be done, so he'll be looking to come back in and put on a new set and try it again as he just goes off again. I think those tires are quite overheated.
Yeah, say goodbye to them.
Yeah, absolutely.
They are done. Tire temperatures are pretty key on this track as well in the race, and I think strategy is hugely important. But it's a track where clean air is going to be worth so much. If you're stuck in that dirty air, not a whole lot of spaces to be overtaken on this track. Other than the final chicane, other than that, you're risking a move at high-speed corners where a slight touch is going to send you spinning. I'm just on board with Turkey Whacker. I think he's going to start a flying lap, so maybe we can ride on board with him while we wait for everybody else who's in the pit lane. But we're both here on Thursday. I know we were talking about it before the broadcast. We're both super excited. What is it that makes Suzuka such an iconic track to you for this, Evan?
Well, it's an iconic track because drivers have, or F1 has been coming to this track for years. I mean, it's one of those tracks from I remember as a boy, as a kid, just watching this, and it was Suzuka, Hungary, Melbourne, Hockenheim, Nürburgring, like those tracks that have been on the calendar for years and years and years. And the drivers, I think, love coming to this because it has that personality. All the corners are different. It's not a cookie cutter circuit, which we, kind of get nowadays with Russia, Abu Dhabi, some other tracks like that.
Yeah.
So every corner has a different type of profile, and you have the undulation, you have camber that helps here and there, and I think the drivers just really enjoyed that. It's very, very flowing. And I think the old school drivers that we have on the real F1 grid, like Raikkonen, Hamilton, Alonso when he was racing, really enjoyed those types of circuits because it was more of a driver's circuit rather than like a car circuit, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, drivers can make up so much time, whereas compared to Silverstone, which is a track where an F1 car comes alive, but it's very car restricted because there's only a few heavy braking spots. It's tough, you're taking the lap at full throttle for quite a lot. Turkey Whacker up to P10, so I don't think he set that on a set of old softs, so not too bad. He can definitely move up a few places. But yeah, Suzuka, the high-speed tracks, this one here, drivers can make such a difference, and I think we'll see that today. The class and driver, I think, is really going to stand out in the field today, and we can already see we have those who've been battling in the previous two races already all up there and ready to battle it out, and I think they're all out on hot laps at the minute. So
yeah, just on board with Rex, and he's just starting his second flying lap. So he's currently in P4, but he's only less than a tenth actually away from P1. So P1 through really P5 is just separated by just over 1/10 of a second as Rex is coming up to some traffic. Hope he gets out of the way. Very nicely done by the Williams. I think of Coleman. I don't think he affected him too much. Coleman's just on his out lap.
It's never nice to see, is it? I know from being in the car in those situations, you never know what they're going to do, and even if they get completely out of the way, it's so hard not to get distracted by that. But just to correct you, Babu is actually a second ahead, but he's got set a 26.7. And Dorian Alpha's just come across the line and said a pretty quick time as well. So the times are starting to tumble.
Yeah, those two Renaults, like you said, Bamboo and Dorian, heading up the field right now. And Bamboo has put in another just stonker of a lap. I mean, a 26.7. The lap record actually here for TCR was set in Season 7 by TCR Breezy, and that was a 26.8. So we've already beaten the TCR lap record here in Silver Class tonight, which is round 3. But obviously, that was a few years old, and tonight we have the 2020 cars, which have insane amounts of downforce. The mechanical grip is really, really quite high. So I'm not surprised that we're beating that lap record here tonight, and I'm sure those times will fall tomorrow in Golden, and then fall in Platinum on Thursday. And we're on board with Motor now. Motor City 2000, but just goes by Motor because for short. He's been around TCR for quite a long time. He did a few races last season at the end of Season 9 as he decides to pit. But he I think he joined and did most races in Season 8, so he's a veteran of TCR. It's good to see him back on the track as well. Balloon Machine also pits. Just trying to find a flying lap here, which is quite hard to do.
So I think YBN, Steven and Coleman are both on flying laps at the minute. Coleman on the mediums, Steven on the softs. Although, just as I switched to Coleman, I think he might have lost the car because he was going very slowly there after Degner too. YBN
Yeah.
Steven is just about to finish his lap. He's just coming up to the last chicane. This will be his first time on the board, so let's see where he can put himself. Pretty smooth through the last chicane.
Absolutely.
Oh,
and
into the pits.
dives into the pits.
Pretty smooth into the pits as well.
Pretty yeah, at least he didn't hit that wall. I've done that a few times in past games. You know, you get it just wrong, you get a kick of oversteer, you want to correct it, then you're just smacking in the wall, and, you know, there goes your qualifying. Hopefully, you know, that doesn't happen to us on Thursday, knock on wood.
Yeah. We did, myself and 007, we did a 100% race at Belgium over the weekend just for fun, and that pit lane killed me. I was doing pretty good in that race, and I went into the pit lane.
Yeah.
Nope, missed it.
Well, it's hard because, like, at Spa, you have that weird, like, you pit, and then it just really tightens up. So, Fire Up Flow is now just starting his flying lap, so we're going to be on board with him. And the black Mercedes looks really menacing from far away, especially kind of in the sunlight. Looks great. But we're going to go through here. Sector 1 gets a nice exit off of turn 2, I believe, and then coming through the S section. You can really gain a lot of time here if you're really aggressive, but that's a risk versus reward. And take some pretty decent lines down to 4th gear, back up to 5th, possibly up to 6th, oh, into 7th actually.
It's tough to keep the car balanced in that corner, isn't it? It just always wants to get away from you, really fighting with the car there.
It does, yeah, even last night, it just locks up there, and that will definitely cost him a few tenths.
Yeah.
And then this corner here, the hairpin, you really want to be careful on the power, because that back end, like you said, can just snap and you're done. So having a very light toe to apply the throttle is pretty paramount.
It's been an okay lap from Fire Up Flow, I would say, so far. A little bit scruffy. But he should be improving, I think, on the times already set with track evolution and hopefully a little bit of a smoother run. I wouldn't be surprised to see him dive in, though, if he has another set of softs, because time is running out.
Yeah, let's see if he dives into the pits here. Kind of an interesting line through that chicane, and I think he is, in the pits.
I was
Just
going
with
to say, interesting line in that it was a corner cut. Is that what you were going to say?
Yeah. Yeah, well, it was a very slight corner cut, but I think, you know, with the time that you have, with 3 minutes, you got to pit and put on a new set of shoes and go again.
For sure.
So
Paz is going to be starting his flying lap.
oh, Taffer! Taffer's off at Spoon Curve and loses the wheel. He's out. He's out of qualifying.
That is unfortunate.
Wow. That was a big hit, too.
Or did you just catch him from riding on board with Rex?
Yeah, I was scrolling through to get on board with Steven, who's now starting his flying lap, and I caught it just barely, and I think he may have broke on the grass or something, or just lost the back end, but just overcorrected and head first in the barrier. So that's a shame for him. So he'll be starting P14, possibly P16 once Steven and Coleman put in their respective laps. But we're on board with Steven. I want to see what Steven does, because he's qualified pretty like in the midfield, I believe, the past 2 races. But he's down in P16 without a time, so I don't know if he's just invalidated. What happened?
I was just on board with Rex, and he was just starting his flying lap coming through the first S section, and there was an Alpha Towery in the middle of the road that had just spun, and Rex went to move and try to avoid him, and he's put it in the wall, unfortunately.
Wait, so did Rex spin it, or did the Alpha Towery spin it?
The Alpha Towery spun, and he was trying to come back on the track. Yeah, it's not going to work out too well for him. He tried to come back on the track straight in the way of Rex, who was on his flying lap, and Rex put it in the wall. So that's unfortunate for Rex.
Yeah.
As we see, everyone else is kind of out now, trying to be the last one across that finish line and get the best of the track conditions.
Yeah, absolutely. We're about to go on board with either Bamboo or Dorian after Steven crosses the line. Steven to P1!
Oh,
26.6! Wow.
that came out of nowhere.
Absolutely. I told you that he was kind of in the mid-pack the past few races, but my
Yeah.
gosh, I mean, wow. We're on board with Bamboo now. Bamboo's going to have to improve by about a tenth and a half or so, just over that, to take P1 away from YBN Steven. But man, YBN Steven, that's impressive.
Yeah, and I mean, that was he must have just put it all on the line. Oh, Boo's a little bit loose there. He didn't have a time set. He didn't have a banker to go off. So that's delivering under pressure.
Absolutely. I love that little
Um,
going under the bridge there. That's super cool.
yeah, it's cool. It's the only figure eight track. Oh. Pretty decent lap so far from Bamboo.
Yeah, I want to say that he was on pole last week, if I can remember. Or was it Shokodia? I think it was Shokodia, I think. I can't remember. Speaking of Shokodia, though, he was fighting for P1 last week at China. He is no longer with us, unfortunately. His just having some technical difficulties with his PlayStation 4 and will not be able to return this season. So, sorry to see, but yeah, as Bamboo finishes this lap, let's see what he can put on the board. Very clean exit. Does not improve. Right behind him,
Nice.
Dorian Alpha, his teammate, see if he can improve by over 4/10 here to snag P2 away, and does not improve as well. Wow.
Oh, and D-Swish locks up into that tight left-hander. He'll have lost a good bit of time there. Lazo is on final chicane. Let's see what time he puts up on the board.
Lazo up to P5.
Oh, and D-Swish lost it at Spoon.
Ah, yeah, just back on board with him. I was on board with Lazo, so Lazo finishes and yeah, D-Switch retires. But Lazo, I mean, look at those times. You have a 27.352, 27.366, and 27.393 from P4 to P6. So I bet you D-Swish is kicking himself because he could have definitely improved up. Fire up flow, though, that's an improvement up to P3.
Yeah. He was P8 or P7, I believe, and he jumped up to P3 there. So that's a great last lap to put himself in the second row. You want to qualifying is key here. You want to get out in front of the traffic here. Turn 1, it's a tight turn. It's very easily be a lot of chaos at turn 1 if people aren't careful, if they're not cautious. And then that whole way through the first sector, even the whole track requires a lot of downforce. Requires you to be really accurate with the placement of your cars. So it's going to be a very interesting start for sure.
Yeah, and especially the run down to turn 1. I mean, we've seen what's happened in the past. You know, if you're on the inside line, you need to be very careful because you could just understeer and run wide into those guys running the outside line. But here we have YBN Steven P1, Bamboo P2, Fire Up Flow P3, Dorian Alpha got a new weeb, Lazo P6, D-Swish only qualifying P7, unfortunately due to a spin at Spoon Curve on his last flying lap. Rex only down in P8, so that's very surprising. Juan P9, Motor City rounding off the top 10, and then we'll get the rest of the drivers during the formation lap. But yeah, very close between P1 and P2, only 0.156 seconds away. So. I'm excited. If qualifying, that qualifying was exciting, so I'm looking forward to the race.
I think so. It's a lot of pretty well matched times. It requires a different set of skills, qualifying and the race. So there can easily be maybe the guys at the front, maybe they're not the best on tire wear. So don't for any second think that, we've already seen the race one. P11 is going to have a great shout. The alternate strategy today, if they can put on those mediums, if there's a safety car anyway, a point in the race, and we've already seen in qualifying a few cars crashing out. So it's definitely not out of the realms of possibility that we see a safety car or two today.
Or 3. Just saw a TCR F1 racer join back in. I didn't see him disconnect during quali, but hopefully he got back in just fast enough, as we only have 5 seconds till the formation lap. But let's go through the driver standings. So as it stands after 2 rounds, going into round 3 tonight, we have Rex holding P1 with 43 points, Bamboo just behind with 40 points, D-Swish, who's been quite consistent in P3 with 33 points, And then we have quite a big gap to P4, which Shokadia currently holds, but again, he's not with us anymore. But he's on 16 points, F1 Racer on 15, Lazo on 14, Fire Upflow on 12, Blend Machine on 11, Motor City on 8, and Got Any Weeb on 7. So P4 down to P10, and the Drivers' Championship is quite close. And then in the Constructors' Championship, McLaren is holding the first place spot with 44 points. Haas has 43. Renault has 40. Then down to P4 with Alfa Romeo having 22. Mercedes 19. Williams, sorry, I was trying to look at the color. Williams with 16 points. Racing Point 15. Red Bull 4. And then the two teams down at the bottom, which is AlphaTauri and Ferrari, still at 0. So they'll be looking to score points today. But what do you think the strategy is going to be, Enda?
Oh, that's just as I was about to come in with. I'm just looking at the tires everyone fitted. We have 15 runners on softs. We have P11 starting at the hard, P12 on the medium. So we are going to see as TJ and Tafur obviously came into contact with each other as they're disqualified and they'll be starting with cold tires. So it seems that everyone is thinking that soft to either medium or soft to hard strategy is the one to go for. No one, I don't think, is going to go for the two harder compounds. I imagine Blin is putting on those mediums with the idea of going for the softs at the end. So it's a rare race in F1 2020 where you go for the two softer compounds.
Mm-hmm. And there's actually an incident up further. I think some people got into the wall. I saw grass being thrown. Wings are intact, but you said nobody's going on the hard tire, but I see Turkey Whacker, who's in the Ferrari, one of the Ferraris, and he's on the harder compounded tires.
He is. Sorry,
so good luck to him to first stint. That's going to be quite a tire to keep up with, and I think he's just, you got Blin up behind him on the medium tire, the only driver starting on the medium tire, and then you got a bunch of soft tire runners behind him. So Turkey's going to have to pull out some defensive moves, I feel.
Yeah, I'm not too sure about the starting on the medium, starting on the hard, sorry, especially when it does seem like quite a doable strategy to go medium to soft, especially if there is a safety car, which I assume he's hoping for, putting on that hard. But we're lining up on the grid. I'll stay towards the back of the grid. I'll let you know if anything exciting happens. You can take us through the first few corners.
Yeah, you got the back, I got the front. Let me know if anything happens, and we are seconds away from the start of the Japanese Grand Prix. Round 3 for TCR Trinity Competitive Racing. We'll see if everybody makes it through turn 1.
Let's hope. And we'll be in for an exciting race regardless.
Is it just me, or is it quite a long wait?
It is a little bit of a wait. Let's hope everything is okay.
Hoping so. And we are still waiting. Well, we're going to go one of these days. Not quite sure what's going on. But you're still there, Enda, right? You're still with me in the box?
I'm with you.
Yeah, I'm on board with Lazo, so we have a really, really good view of the field here.
Yeah, I'm back on board with Coleman. So let's hope we get some racing fairly soon. We did already have a little bit of a issue earlier on with our lobby, so
yeah, and I wonder if it was because who joined back? I think it was TCR F1 Racer that did join back. So I wonder if he's stuck like on a screen, or if somebody is stuck on that black screen where it's just loading, and it's until that person disconnects or leaves, we can't go on. So let me just check the comments here. I see some comments coming in.
Yeah.
Yeah, Blend Machine, who is our host for tonight, says, "What do we do?" Blend Machine, I'm not sure.
Good question.
That is a very good question, and I do want to give it just a few more seconds here. And if you could maybe pull out your phone and take a picture of the grid in case we have to do a custom. Yeah. I'm going to do the same, just in case. and we have the tire compounds as well. So if we do have to restart, then Turkey Whacker's going to have to be on the hard tires, and Balloon Machine's going to have to be on the medium tires. Um, yeah, so if you're watching, if you're one of our 13 or 14 viewers, we're definitely very sorry about this. I don't think it's ever really happened before.
No, I haven't. I haven't seen this now before. Oh, there we go. Oh, Blinn.
And my game has just crashed. I don't know if... Yeah.